Welcome back to part 2. It just keeps going. All right, we have a lot to cover. Let's just keep going with all of our stories. Let's go. Next up, we know that Harry and Meghan have received a ton of backlash because of their quote-unquote pseudo-royal tours. And so now they're talking about, oh, gee, should we do any more of these? Well, let's see what countries invite them. Notice the countries that are inviting them are not Commonwealth countries. They have nothing to do with the Commonwealth. Moving on. Next up, we've started up with the whole will they, won't they Christmas thing again. Yes, there's a massive impediment to their being able to attend. We all know what it is. It's the security. But they make it sound like they were invited, but they can't come unless they were not invited, you guys. And they cannot go to Earl Spencer's property because that would completely undermine the whole I can't return to the UK. It's not dangerous. Moving on. All right, next up, I heard this had happened, but it wasn't in print. Now it's in print, so there might be something there. Apparently, Harry and Elton John have now had a falling out. While they were close at one point, apparently last year, Elton John had a huge Oscar party. Harry and Meghan were not invited to it. And that happened because Prince Harry was really upset with Elton John because he was doing a memoir and he was going to serialize it in the Daily Mail. Remember, Harry's suing the Daily Mail. So Harry was unhappy because he had recent legal action with the newspaper, but Elton John wanted more people to read his book. And so they're claiming that Harry stepped back from the relationship, even though they used to speak daily. I'm sorry. I don't think Harry stepped away from anything. I think Elton John realized what a user he was. Moving on. All right, here we go. Duchess difficult. Some information has been coming out about the way she treats her staff. Some of this we've heard before. Remember Meghan Markle hissed at one of the members of her staff while she was at that outdoor market and the woman was seen later crying in a car? That was the woman that had been hired to replace Samantha the Panther Cohen, who quit during the tour. Remember that one? How about the staff member that got a phone call every 10 minutes until she picked up the phone because she was distressed? Meghan was distressed about the way something was being handled. Barking orders, reducing grown men to tears, angry 5 a.m. emails. People, guys, we've already heard it all, but I'm just happy it's all coming out now. All right, let's move on to our next story for today. All right. Let's start at the beginning. About 8-9 months ago, Meghan Markle launched ARO on Instagram saying that, this was going to be something great. She launched it during the Diana Awards. That's really what happened. She preemptively launched this thing. Then she started sending out jam to Mindy Kaling and Kris Jenner and Chrissy Teigen, limited edition jams. And you're thinking, okay. Then we heard that Meghan Markle was having trouble getting a CEO. Then we heard that there was trouble in September, the brand's trademark application had been rejected because the name was too close to American Riviera, which was a common name for Santa Barbara. Then we heard there was a problem with the logo. Now we've heard that Harry and David has filed a protest against American Riviera Orchard, saying that name is too close to what they sell. I'm telling you, in September, when her application was refused because you can't, trademark a geographical location, and they talked about some other stuff, she was given 3 months to respond. And her camp was like, oh yeah, we're gearing up, we're responding. She's got 1 month left. If she doesn't respond, her application will be dropped. She also, by the way, has to pay more fees. Now, here we are 8 months later. There's been no release date, no information, no products to buy, and now there's some talk that Meghan has to switch the name so that she doesn't hit any more hurdles like this. But if she had just done her homework, see, this is what tells me that she didn't hire somebody to do this. She did it herself. This tells me everything I need to know. She didn't pay somebody to do the research and make sure that everything went smoothly and not release this until it was ready. And this is what brings her such embarrassment. This is just another example of a failure to launch. All right, moving on. All right, let's go back to Robert Hartman's book. He makes some allegations which are different from what we've heard in the past. For instance, Supposedly, once the king had cancer, he telephoned the members of his family, including Harry and Meghan, and that's when Harry made the trip to see him in London. However, what we've always heard is that he heard about it at the same time as everybody else. What's being said is that King Charles has not shut the door on Harry and Meghan, and it does say in the book that he has an iron discipline about not stirring things up with them, and it can take a huge effort to do nothing when you're being criticized. However, they are pointing out that when Harry returned to Britain in May for the 10th anniversary of the Invictus Games, the king didn't see him. We do know, however, that the king offered him a place to stay, and Harry turned it down. So Harry put out a "oh, woe is me" statement. Look, my father doesn't have time for me, when we come to find out that that was untrue. But let's be honest, there's several things that Harry has said that has just thrown everybody under the bus. To start with, Harry was whining that as a man in his 30s, he was being cut off by his father. But of course, we found out later on that he had received several millions of dollars from Charles. Next, he wants an apology to Meghan. That is never going to happen. If anything, Meghan should be apologizing to everybody in the family. Thirdly, if Charles talks to Harry, he's going to upset William, because William is the one who's picked up the mantle. There was some talk that some of the staff members who had had previous dealings with Harry might want to step in, but as the old adage goes, no good deed goes unpunished. After all, Harry said horrible things about the staff in his memoir. And let's not forget that since 2021, Harry's been fighting the British government to get his security back. And he has lost, and he's appealed, and he's lost, and he's appealed. And he's basically suing his father's government. He wants his father to step in. His father has made it clear he's not stepping in. He can't. Now, when it comes to Andrew, we've already discussed this. Charles wants him to move into Frogmore Cottage, and we know that Andrew hoped to bequeath the lease of the Royal Lodge to one of his daughters. It's being reported, however, that neither one of them want the house. Now, remember, his security was just cut off, but it's not his own personal protection. Apparently, there is historic artworks and furniture which has been loaned from the Royal Collection Trust to furnish the Royal Lodge. And on top of all of that, Andrew has to do his security. He has to take care of maintenance repairs, staffing costs. I mean, it's the bill is going up and up and up. Now, what's being reported now is that if Andrew insists on remaining at Royal Lodge, the king is no longer going to pay his everyday living expenses either. This ought to be very interesting. I'm telling you, I want to see how this ends up. I'll be keeping an eye on this story for you guys. Oh my goodness, lots of information, you guys. You know I'm looking for your comments, so make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, physical address, Patreon, which is currently paused, on my Amazon wish list. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.